Hey folks, it's Jang here from ultimaterc.com with my very first look at the 1/8 scale Iron Track series of vehicles sold now at nitrorcx.com. And I say the series of vehicles because they unleashed literally an entire series of vehicles that are based on this platform. They actually brought out 8th scales and 10th scales and 1/18th scales. This is from the 1/8th scale line of them. And within even just the 1/8 scale line, they've got all these different ones ranging from, let's see, they've got a buggy, they've got a short course truck, this is the truggy version, they've got a monster truck, there may have been another one in there also. But they're all based on the exact same chassis, and the performance of them is going to be very, very close. They mostly have differences in tires and a little bit of difference in width. The length is all the same, driveline's the same, durability is going to be the same. So I'm just going to test one of them, and this is my first look at one of them. I chose the truggy just because I haven't gotten a truggy before, and it kind of seemed to be in between of what was out there, from the buggy being a little bit smaller and more agile up to the monster truck having the bigger tires and a little bit more ground clearance coming from those. Anyway, this is the vehicle. I didn't do an unboxing on this because I got an almost ready to run version, which comes in a box that has just this in it and this pack with the manual and some extra servo horns and a little mini antenna tube on it. So there's really no point in showing you the opening of the box because there's nothing to it. But here's the vehicle. I'm going to reposition the camera and give you a look at what's underneath the body. All right, here we go. First peek beneath the shell. So this is what you see, and it's your typical, well, almost your typical 1/8 scale buggy slash truggy setup, flat aluminum pan. Wait a minute. Yes, okay. Aluminum pan chassis, shaft driven, longitudinal motor mount. Pretty much standard stuff that you're looking at here. This one in particular uses a battery mount that's on one side, so it uses a single battery, or you can put two batteries together, just leaning them on their sides here. They do give you a little bit of room for your wire leads to come out of your battery. You've got a little extra room here for ones where they come out on the end, so that's very nice. Good thinking there. They've got space for ones that come out on the side, so that's again good thinking there. A little bit of nice, thoughtful design there. This is basically one of the Himoto vehicles, the Mega E8 series. And interestingly enough, one thing that caught me a little bit off guard at first is that this does not have a centered diff. It actually has a center slipper, which I'm assuming just saves some money in manufacturing costs, assuming that there are less parts here that it costs less to assemble or whatnot. Looks like there is room to put a diff in here, but it does not come with a diff. It's just a slipper clutch set up with a pad, and there's a spring in between here. This is a big old adjusting nut. It is a metal gear, metal ring going around here with a metal pinion, of course. Got a stand-up servo over here. I have no idea what the specs will be on that. The ESC is a hobby wing unit. It's a 80 amp easy run. Same thing that the Exceed line of vehicles from NitroRCX has used in the past. It's a perfectly good ESC. I'm gonna turn this around and have a look at the motor. There's the motor, and it looks to be a 36 by 74 millimeter. Haven't measured it yet, but it's definitely a 36 millimeter diameter, and I'm trying to see what they do for positioning the motor. It looks like your motor mesh is all taken care of by these screws here. Let me look underneath. There are two more screws underneath. Similar setup. Not a whole lot of room to move back and forth. It looks like it's about as far out as it will go right now. So I don't know if you can put a larger pinion on there without boring these out a little bit, or putting on a smaller spur. Hopefully they've got a diff option for this that uses a smaller main gear. Does have dog bones that are metal, of course, you know, standard 8th scale fare there. It's got ball bearings all throughout. Up front, looks like it's still using dog bones. If you have a look out there, no universal joints there, it's just using dog bones. But you do see that they have adjustability here. They've got adjustable camber and front toe. It actually uses slightly larger turnbuckles for the camber links, both at the front and at the rear. And let's see, what else can we see here? It does have sway bars all the way around. Zoom this out a little bit. You can have a look at the shocks, and these are plastic bodied shocks with aluminum caps top and bottom. There's a lot of exposed thread down here. It's a little bit worrisome, but hopefully that's on all the way. I will double check that. Let's see. They are not full. The front shocks are definitely not full of oil. They're about halfway full of oil. The spring rate feels pretty decent, maybe a little bit on the soft side, but not too bad. At the rear, it does feel like the rear shocks on mine were fully filled with oil, as they need to be, but it does feel like it's a little bit under dampened. So it probably needs some stiffer shock oil all the way around. It does have an adjustable steering servo saver setup here. Oh, I just noticed that the servo has an aluminum case on it, and it also has a brass output gear. I'm assuming that that is the same thing as this. It looks exactly like it. I'm willing to bet it's the same thing. This is the servo that came out of one of my Exceed Mad Series 1/8 scale vehicles, weak and slow. So I'm sure we're going to have a repeat of that, more weakness and more slowness. One thing that the Exceeds, their Mad series, did poorly was the geometry of the front sway bar. Looks like this one is a little bit better. It actually has some effect, whereas the Exceed series had absolutely no effect up front. I can feel it a little bit, but not a whole lot. This does have aluminum hinge pin braces, front and rear. It looks like it's using all captured hardware. Everything has hex heads on it. When I say captured, I mean there are no E-clips. Ooh, look, they even have extra long threads here. Looks like they were pretty generous on that. These threads for the lower shock mounts go all the way through. There are two options down here for the lower shock mounts, and looks like that's only at the front that they're top and bottom like that. At the rear, you've got two options further out or closer in. I'm going to have to move this camera here pretty soon, but looking up top, we've got a few options for the angle up top for your shock mounts there. Same thing at the rear. There's actually four options there. At the rear, we do have some options. Look out, camera, I'm coming through. Do have some options for camber link length and also roll center adjustment or dynamic camber adjustment. And there are only two spots where you can adjust out at the hubs. The hubs do look a little bit on the thin side compared to what I'm used to for 8th scale, so that's something to watch out for. Let me see if I can switch this around to the front and have a look at these. Again, looks just a little bit lacking in total amount of material there. The material itself, can't quite tell. I mean, it is an FRP, but I can't quite tell whether that's going to be nice and stiff or if it'll actually be a little bit too soft. The arms are made of a softer material. I can feel that. I can actually get my fingernail in there a little bit. The arms are made of a quite soft material. The hubs are definitely a harder material, and the uprights and the knuckles are a harder material, but we'll have to see just how well those do in terms of durability, because of course I will be doing a proper durability test on this thing. Overall, so far, you know, like I said, it's my very first look at it. This is effectively my unboxing here. I'm happy with the layout for sure. Oh, it does have droop screws. That's good. Happy with the layout. Looks like they did cut corners a fair amount in order to get keep the price down, which makes sense. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to bring things out really cheap. This was really cheap for a big 1/8 scale truggy. I just need to add in my own receiver and this thing will be good to go. It does use 17mm hubs all the way around, so you can use any standard truggy wheels. It looks like the wheels that it has do have some offset to them though, so it's not the modern standard of offset. It has a little bit of extra, probably around 0 offset in total, where the hubs are very close to the center line, which is a nice setup, but it's just not the standard. Nowadays, most truggies actually have gone with the flatter face with the hub further out, which is actually considered positive offset. It's a little bit counterintuitive. Positive offset actually makes the vehicle narrower, but these are not that standard. The tires have a great tread to them. It's kind of looks like the blockade tread. It's like a enlarged hole shot pattern. This is a perfect intermediate tread pattern for use on a general, just an RTR, you know, for bashing in general use. This pattern should work on most surfaces. However, the rubber compound, a little bit on the hard side, a little bit on the plasticky side, doesn't really grip my fingers as I rub my fingers over there. It has a certain amount of softness. It does have some fairly stiff foams inside, but definitely not the best compound there. But we'll see how that all works out. It does have a wing. Let me just take a peek underneath to see if that's adjustable. And yep, it does have, I think 3 adjustments for 3 different angles that you can put on the rear wing, for what that's worth. And yep, that's about it. That's it for my first look at this vehicle. Like I said, all of the vehicles in this series, the Iron Track series, will have basically the same layout and the same accoutrements, no matter which one you're looking at. So pretty much test 1, you've tested them all, other than the tires and the specific suspension setup. So I will be doing hopefully a quick review on this one. I don't want to take a whole lot of time out for this cheaper vehicle. I want to be able to get back to some of the higher profile things, but for now that's it for this first look. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for pure, just mostly unedited raw driving videos, followed by eventually a mini review where I'll sum up all my thoughts after doing a fairly thorough test on different types of running areas and under different conditions and such. Talk to you again soon.